9 days to showdown. Chiwenga in Singapore. Ramaphosa faces impeachment. The region is on fire. Mure Zimbabwe. Welcome back pamzinda wevanhu. Kubva kuvanhu. Handiti. Right, Nasi. I need to bring you two stories happening simultaneously. One in Singapore, one in Pretoria. That together paint the most alarming regional picture we have seen since we started covering this crisis. Because while Zimbabwe counts down 9 days to May 18th, the whole region is shifting underneath everyone's feet. Chiwenga has left Zimbabwe. The man at the center of everything, the vice president, the general, the king, Hezekiah preacher, the empty chair at the Politburo, has been spotted in Singapore on what the government is calling a secret assignment. And simultaneously, the man who flew his helicopter to Precab Farm to deliver a private warning to Mnangagwa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has just been placed under formal impeachment proceedings by South Africa's Constitutional Court. 9 days to May 18th, the general is in Singapore and the regional peacemaker is fighting for his own political survival. Zimbabwe, buckle up. Izai mabande. Go up. Let us start with Chiwenga, because his departure from Zimbabwe at this specific moment is loaded with significance. The last Politburo meeting before Parliament votes on the sweeping constitutional amendments proceeded without both vice presidents. Charamba told Zim Live the two deputies were on government assignments, declining to elaborate further. Government assignments, that is the official line, but security sources have tracked Chiwenga specifically to Singapore. And the question every analyst is asking is, why Singapore? Why now? Why 9 days before the most consequential parliamentary vote in Zimbabwe's modern history? There are three possible readings of this Singapore trip, and all three are significant. Reading 1, regional consultation. Singapore is a major hub for Asian diplomacy and international financial networks. A man positioning himself as Zimbabwe's next leader, building international legitimacy, making contacts, showing the world he exists beyond the factional battle, goes to Singapore. He is not hiding. He is being seen by the right people. Right, reading 2, tactical withdrawal. Before November 2017, before the coup that changed everything, the key players made their movements carefully. Positions were taken. Safe distances were established. The distance between a sermon and a correction is often perilously short in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. So being outside the country when things get heated is not cowardice. For a man who has survived poisoning allegations, weapon planting plots, and gunfire threats, it is strategic. Reading 3, medical. Chiwenga has a documented history of serious health issues. He has traveled to China and elsewhere for treatment before. Singapore has world-class medical facilities. If the pressure of the past months has taken a physical toll, which would not be surprising, Singapore makes sense for that reason too. What we know for certain is this: Chiwenga remains one of the most influential figures within ZANU-PF and the security establishment. He played a central role in the November 2017 military intervention that removed Mugabe. Relations between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga have frequently been the subject of political speculation, with reports of growing mistrust. And that man, that enormously consequential man, is not in Zimbabwe 9 days before May 18th. Make of that what you will, but make something of it, because in Zimbabwe politics, nobody leaves the country at this moment by accident. Now, Zimbabwe. While Chiwenga is in Singapore, the military establishment he represents has reportedly drawn a very clear red line around May 18th. Generals have reportedly made it clear they will not allow the Cape 3 reading to proceed unopposed. Not through tanks, not yet. but through mechanisms that a professional military uses when it wants to signal its position without crossing into open confrontation. Silence, positioning, strategic absences, the kind of institutional pressure that does not make headlines but is felt in every corridor of power. The desire to cling to power beyond constitutional limits is eating into the military command structure. Both the president and the vice president have their loyalists within the ranks, and this polarization has the potential to explode. If a coup were attempted today, it would not be the neat transition of 2017. In that year, military command was largely unified. Today, the situation is fractured. Fractured, Zimbabwe, not unified, which means any military intervention, if it came, would not be clean, would not be bloodless, would not be the 48-hour transition that removed Mugabe with minimal violence. It would be something darker, something that South Sudan has already shown the world is possible when a presidential faction and a military faction both refuse to back down. Alfan Rushika Ikoko, peace. This is why the impeachment scenario is gaining so much traction among analysts, because impeachment, parliamentary, legal, constitutional, is the path that avoids that confrontation. It is the path that lets the military say, we did not move, the parliament moved. And it is the path that requires those wavering MPs, those secretly opposed to Politburo members, those absent vice presidents, to find enough collective spine to make it happen. Ramaphosa, impeachment, what. And now, Zimbabwe, family, the story that changes everything about Zimbabwe's regional context. The Constitutional Court delivered a landmark judgment on May 18th, 2026, ruling that the National Assembly's decision not to refer to... My people, let me correct the date here. I made a mistake here. So, the court directed that the report must be referred to an impeachment committee for a proper parliament scrutiny. 30 years to the day after South Africa's constitution was adopted, the Constitutional Court placed President Ramaphosa on the path to face a formal impeachment inquiry. Right. Tiri kutaura zvemascandals murezimbabwe, mascandal. PaZimbabwe tine dzedu mbozha, handiti mbinga, kana kuti taakunzi magupta epaZimbabwe, but paSouth Africa president vatoriwo futi munyaya dzekupalapala. Ngaitizipinde. Right. The palapala scandal, $580,000 in cash, about 9.6 million rands, stolen from Ramaphosa's game farm in Limpopo in 2020. The Section 89 independent panel previously found prima facie evidence that Ramaphosa may have violated his oath of office. The ANC used its parliamentary majority to vote down the referral in 2022. And now the Constitutional Court has said that vote was unconstitutional. It is set aside. The process must restart. Murufana kubata pano connecta nyaya ya Ramaphosa nenyaya na Chiwenga mZimbabwe nenyaya na Mnangagwa. Because Ramaphosa ari kuuya aizama kumisa Cape 3. But iye ari kuda kutobviswa nenyaya dzeumbavha paJoza paSouth Africa. Apa ari kuzama kuda kumisa vari kuti mbavha paZimbabwe. Apa ari kumiswa achinzi mbavha. Right. Now, the EFF has given National Assembly Speaker Tokodi Diza 48 hours to constitute an impeachment committee or face another legal challenge. 48 hours, and Ramaphosa has said he will respect the Constitutional Court's decision. Now, Zimbabwe, think about what this means for Zimbabwe. The men who flew to Cricket Farm to warn Mnangagwa about constitutional overreach, is now facing a constitutional process in his own country for his own farm scandal. The man who was supposed to be Zimbabwe's regional anchor, the stabilizing force, the SADC voice of reason, is now consumed by his own political survival. Right? So toda kutaura nezvejudgment yakaitwa neFriday ndine zuro handiti. Friday's bombshell judgment has profound implications for the longevity of the ANC-DA-led government of national unity. Profound implications. That is diplomatic language for South Africa's government is now in crisis. And the South Africa in crisis cannot be the regional policeman for Zimbabwe's constitutional drama, cannot be the steady hand that presses Mnangagwa to pull back, cannot be the credible voice telling SADC that Zimbabwe needs intervention. The regional peacemaker just became a regional crisis himself. Azma Wanera. And Mnangagwa, watching all of this from Harare, knows exactly what it means. His most powerful external pressure point just got neutralized, not by design, by a South African court on May 8th, 10 days before May 18th. Parikutanga uchinyaya chepaZimbabwe cheCape 3. Cape 3. Zimbabwe, the Chivayo insult. They drink from the same cup. And then Zimbabwe, while all of this is happening, while Chiwenga is in Singapore and Ramaphosa is facing impeachment and the generals are drawing red lines, what is Wicknell Chivayo doing? He is on radio, speaking on Capital 100.4 FM. On May 5th, Chivayo dismissed all reports of infighting between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga. If Vice President Chiwenga walks in and the president is drinking tea, they will share the same cup. He said, they love each other. They are one family. What people are saying on the internet is not real. They drink from the same cup. Said by the men whose alleged financial operations are at the center of the entire crisis. Said by the men whose Hawks investigation Ramaphosa claimed not to know about. Said by the same men whose alleged payment to Chamisa is before the courts. Said by the men who announced the $3.6 million in MP gifts and pulled back and even added to $5 million. Chivayo also revealed that Chiwenga used his fleet of Rolls Royces and Maybachs for his wedding, free of charge. I said, please tell the vice president, he is my father. He is not going to pay a cent for my cars. His father, the same man whose wife's demotion from military intelligence he is benefiting from. The same man whose political distraction his money is allegedly funding. His father, who gets free Rolls Royces and a $450,000 unpaid apartment debt. Family. In Zimbabwe politics, even the insults come wrapped in pleasantries. Even the betrayals come with free wedding cars. And even the men tearing your political future apart will call you father on radio. Let's look at the broader picture. Mama bless, Mohae, and what matters. So before we close, Zimbabwe, let us quickly acknowledge the other significant stories this week. Former President Beku Botswana, Festus Mohae, has passed away, a genuine statesman, a man who presided over Botswana's transition from one of Africa's poorest countries to one of its most stable democracies. A man who stepped down when his term ended, who did not seek extensions, who did not amend constitutions, who left, and was celebrated for it. Regional leaders will travel to Gaborone this week, and the contrast between Mohae's legacy and what is happening in Zimbabwe right now is a contrast that writes itself in Zimbabwe. And closer to home, TikTok personality Mama Bless, real name Blessing Mtangi, has been sentenced to 75 years in prison for the abuse of children in Gweru. 75 years. A devastating sentence for devastating crimes. and a reminder that while we cover the political drama at the top, Zimbabwe's courts are still functioning in some spaces, still delivering justice, still capable of protecting the vulnerable, even when those same institutions fail at the political level. But we just, if it's true, he did these devastating things. Kwete kuti majaja zvenhema. Because mapurisa asingahori muchine zhara imwe right. Tichivharisa mure Zimbabwe 9 days. Chiwenga is in Singapore. Ramaphosa is facing impeachment. Mohai is being mourned. The generals have drawn a red line. The Politburo's secret faction is counting absent votes. The war veterans are in the Constitutional Court. 3 CIO officers are in cells. And Chivayo is on radio telling Zimbabwe that everything is fine and the president and vice president drink from the same cup. This is why a president of a continental powerhouse felt and need to sneak into the country like a thief in the night, because Zimbabwe is currently a tinderbox. Dr. Ramaphosa. A tinderbox, Zimbabwe. 9 days from the spark. What happens in Singapore in the next 9 days matters. What happens in South Africa's parliament in the next 48 hours matters. What happens in Zimbabwe's constitutional court matters. What happens in the barracks, in the mess halls, in the staff college corridors matters. And what happens in your WhatsApp groups, in your conversations, in the videos you share and the comments you drop and the people you wake up and say, have you seen what is happening in Zimbabwe right now? That too matters. Maybe most of all, drop your thoughts, family. Why is Chiwenga in Singapore 9 days before May 18th? And does Ramaphosa's impeachment weaken or strengthen Mnangagwa's hand? This is your boy, Pamzinda Wevanu Vaguvan. Fearless, always pro-democracy forever. Peace.